Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sidequest Games, where we explore titles old and new, so that hopefully you can uncover some hidden gems that you might be willing to add to your own game repertoire. Today, we're taking a look at a fantastic title that came out in 2014 by the name of Banner Saga. If, after watching this video, you decide that you want to give Banner Saga a crack, I've included a link to it in the comments below. As always, I'll wrap up this video with my impressions of the game and my personal thoughts about what I like, what I don't like, what I think could be improved. So, Banner Saga. Bias on the table right out the front. I love this game. If you are of a similar vintage to me, you might remember playing Oregon Trail when growing up. Banner Saga takes this concept and evolves it and expands it a little bit into the modern era, combining it with some gorgeous artwork, some different mechanics, and a deep and engaging storyline. I've completed one full playthrough of this game and its sequels, but that playthrough was quite a few years ago. So today we're going to give it a fresh start, give it about half an hour of play to help you decide whether this game is for you or not. Let's dive right in.
Að sjá dreggjana á ferli neðan vor. It has been several long months on the road. The first signs of snowfall accost us on our approach to Strand, largest of the trade cities on the Val-human borders, and our last collection before returning to the capital. Several days ago, the sun simply came to a stop in the sky. Though during these long winter days, none of us can be certain how long it has been this way. Some of the men in the caravan have taken it as a dire omen. I am not quick to superstition, but I myself will be glad to be done with this year's rounds. We have been warned by stranded travelers about brigands on the path through Ridgehorn, our road home. Our captain seems unconcerned. Perhaps he is as eager as I to be done here. We will rest here this day and inquire further when we speak to the governor.
Komið í höfnina miklu! Gist ég leyfa oss að byggja!
I love how he enters, a bit like Aragorn entering Rohan, pushing both doors open, big gut hanging out, ready to go. It's an awesome way, sets an epic scene. I also love in this game how they use a different language when they're talking to really, with great voice acting, mind you, to really embed the feeling of this world and to evoke a real sense of being inside a living and breathing creation. Now, as always, starting games like this, we've got a fair bit of tutorialization that's going to go on. I'm going to click through these and just kind of explain a bit as we go. This is a typical tactical combat system where the blue represents how far we can move, but the yellow represents kind of extending it, where we can use one of our resources over here called willpower. We have our armor, our strength, which is also our damage and our health. We have willpower, which is kind of our ability to extend or add to different moves or attacks or use special abilities. Our exertion is where we can add extra damage using our willpower, and I'll show an example of that in a minute. And then we've got break, which is a version of attack that can damage the armor in here. So we're going to move through here using some willpower to move up close to this particular enemy, and then we're going to attack for 5. That's our break. So we could attack for 2 to drop his armor, but this will let us do 5 damage right off the bat to kill this character and drop him to 0 health. So we're going to do that right now. The animation is fantastic. They clearly knew what they were doing when they put this together. Game was developed by some ex-BioWare employees who left to start a Kickstarter to begin this game in the initial phases. Now, we can see the initiative track down the bottom here, where each player will come up next. So we've got our Gunfa over here, who's our kind of AoE attack. Now, once again, we can see the gold tiles here, which we'll use some of our willpower to move into. So we click over here to move twice. And then we're going to use his special ability, which is a AoE attack to get both of these guys at once. I'm clicking rather fast, but that's because I really want to show you the mechanics in action rather than the tutorial. Once we drop down to one enemy left in each combat turn, it'll do something called pillage, which we can see the initiative track now shows 2 of us. It's not going turn by turn. This means when we get to the end of the game, we can really kind of finish it out rather than chasing someone around. We're choosing to attack this character, and you can see we're going to do 8 damage, but if we spend a bit of willpower, we can knock it up to 9 to finish it off and end that combat. Whenever we finish combat, there's this really nice effect that pops up with Victory Banner. We get some renown, which is like our experience points that we can spend on money or leveling up characters, and it gives a real satisfying feeling to the end of combat.
How did it come to this? We fool ourselves believing that peace will last. My grandfather built all this from a poor fishing village, you know. He watched the gods die, watched the chaos that followed, watched man and var slaughter each other, even before the dreads arose. All we've done is traded one struggle for another. Now that there are no more dreads to war against, we war against ourselves. This chieftain meant to kill me, and he's not the first. 12 families in the city would gladly take my chair. This one had men waylaying merchants, both north and south of the city, strangling trade, quite well, I would add, though he denied it to his last. This sort of wolf doesn't stop biting because the head is cut off. It just grows a new head. I'm in a bad way, my friend. Help me finish this fight, and I'll gladly send you on your way with double our king's tithe. Take any men you need. They're loyal, I promise you that. They will meet you down in the proving grounds.
Alright, take any men of his, and we can get started. So, Chapter 1, Only the Sun Has Stopped. Now, this is quite a lengthy sort of tutorialized section where we learn the kind of main chapters of the game. We have the combat, we have the caravan type mechanic that's similar to Oregon Trail, which is text-based choice and consequence. There's a little bit of that happens in the towns too, and right now it's going to navigate us through various different areas of the town. So let's dive in. You are approached by a familiar man who walks in step with you as you are leaving the Great Hall. He cuts to the chase. Eric, the steward of Strand. I manage the governor's business. Ubin, isn't it? Ooh, we can be quite rude. We can ask him what he wants. Let's just go, yep, Ubin it is. The governor tells me you'll be giving us a hand. Seems a bit chaotic around here, Eric. Well, let's go. What did you have in mind? Scarflings that you didn't hack up in the Great Hall scattered after you took out their chieftain. The governor just wants to make sure they stay down. Was hoping you'd join me at the marketplace by the docks. If there's anyone left to worry about, I know who can tell us. Alright, let's do it. So down here we've got the marketplace. Let's head on down and see what's what. Let me handle this. You meander through rows of open-faced houses and eroded stalls. Coloured canvases flap on a briny current. One man in particular blanches as you approach. Had, I'm not in the mood today. For what? Talking to an idiot. The Scarfling's chieftain bled out an hour ago, Had. So when you tell me what rat anus the rest of them crawled back into, nobody's going to try and kill you this time. I don't want to. I don't want... They don't talk to me. Alright, what do we reckon? Eric seems like he's got a handle on it. Let's just say nothing and let him do his thing. Eric overturns his flimsy table, scattering Had's assortment of junk across the ground. Gods, Eric, laying it on a bit heavy, don't you think? Where are the scufflings? Nobleman, up by the east wall. But that was months ago last I know. Had skulks away with a wave of Eric's hand, gathering things from his hovel, disappearing for a while until this blows over, you figure. Your bodyguard steps forward. Are we done here? Gunoff, were you wearing green and black? Were you wearing green back at the Great Hall? No, I just bought them while you were walking around. Why? He went on a very quick shopping trip. You look like a frog. Let's go with that one. You look like a frog. Better than an eggplant. Gunoff goes off to look at more stalls. Eric, that man of yours seemed unreliable at best. A blind dog wouldn't trust Had, but he used to be a scuffling. If they're licking their wounds, they've probably gone to old haunts, not new ones. Nobleman is a mead hall? Best I can tell, the name's ironic. Listen, I know a guy who would love to put a few of these skulls in the ground. I'm going to go find him. I'll meet you there. Where is this place again? Let's go with that one. Nobleman is halfway up the hill, towards the Great Hall. You won't miss it. Just make sure the governor remembers his promise. Double the usual tithe. I'll remind him. Alright, off we are to Nobleman, the mead house. Let's go over here. You arrive in front of what must be Nobleman. A few minutes later, Eric appears, with a weather-beaten man introduced as Valgard. I'll point them out, Eric says over his shoulder. Ready? Let's get this over with. That's the spirit, says Valgard. Okay, here we go. Valgard boots the door open so hard it won't close again without repair. As you enter the hall, Eric is already at the head of the table, his axe drawn. Wide-eyed drunken scufflings scramble to find their own weapons, turning tables and mead steins over in the process. Let's do it. Okay, so at the start of combat, we have a kind of deployment phase. It's where we get to align our troops and decide where we want to put them out for the oncoming battle. They've suggested this kind of deployment, so why not go with it? I'm just going to move them up a little bit closer to the front of the battle. Let's give it a go. Alright, my shield boy gets to go first. I'm going to go up here. And let's go Stonewall, which lets us kind of sap any damage for a round. And see where we go from there. As you see down here with the initiative track, it's turn by turn combat the whole time. Let's put Eric up next to him so we get some adjacency. And you'll see when they're together, we get this little shield effect where they're kind of they're kind of protecting each other. Why can't I attack there? What's going on here? Oh, that's a shame. So this guy can only attack horizontally, not vertically. That is indeed a bit of a problem. Okay, I guess I'm going to end turn there. That's not what I expected. I was hoping I was going to be able to do a bit of damage. Okay, I can't get into combat with anyone from here, so I'm going to conserve my willpower and just move to that point. I'm a little bit worried that my AoE guy's so far away. That's not ideal. Move up here. And can I hit? Nah, still can't hit him, so wait the turn. Okay. Ooh. We could do some... Yeah, let's do some armor damage here. So this means any further attacks will do higher levels of damage to him. So if I go... Now we're going to go here. Yep, so now I can get him in one go with some willpower. Boom. And we get one renown. I love the little banner effect that appears up there. This is a bit problematic. We can see that we've got... Oh, that's so close. But one thing to remember with this somewhat strange combat mechanic system is that if I do this extra damage to him, do 5 damage to knock him down to 1, he's actually not really going to be able to do much damage with the characters because he doesn't have the the strength to do it. That was a special ability that takes off a bit of armor and then does damage from there. I'm going to move my AoE guy up here and just poke this guy for 9 damage. Knock him down. Now, ooh. Get a bit of adjacency. Once again, still not quite getting the whole way for the hits, and I'm using up a ton of willpower in the process. But that's okay. Oh, do I want to... I guess... Yep, might as well. Now... no, still not going to do what I need him to do. We're just going to whittle him away. Okay, that's great. See how they've moved next to each other? I can now move here, and I'll use my spin attack to hopefully get both of these boys. Oh, not quite. Did a fair bit, but didn't quite knock him down. But we are getting them quite low in a lot of areas, which is great. 5, he's going to die. A little bit of renown. See, they're teeing up their adjacency for their armor, which is quite clever. Now, where's Eric? Eric's here. Okay, so a few things to know about this game is that the renown that we're collecting, it will allow us to level up our characters. It's also what we can use to spend for various things like equipment. Oh, that's a terrible spot. I can't actually... Yeah, I didn't play that one well. He'll just go there and wait. And as I was saying, it at the end of combat, it will add up all the renown that we... Ooh, can I get... Let's try, see... I think I can get them both in this one hit. Yeah, there we go. Epic end. So I love the banner that we get at the end where it adds all our renown, and we've got a promotion for Gunoff, which is great. And Eric, so we can actually move 2 characters on up at the end of this. Alright, 9 renown. Awesome. There they are, gods be damned. I've got to wash off this blood. Eric is looking out the halls to the bay, a fleet of longships approaching with sails of bold red and blues. One banner I know well, Vognir. Next for the Val kingship last we spoke. The other flag looks important. Yeah, important guess. See what I deal with all day long? Ah, things make a little more sense. You hoped I would have a stake in saying everything's fine here when the royal guests arrive. Not me, the governor. Now I have to make sure there are no rotting bodies or pools of entrails still in the Great Hall before they come by. Can I ask one more favour? What is it? If you happen to stall our guests down on the docks, I would not object. Maybe I will. Eric and Velgard hustle up from the mead house. To his credit, Eric tosses the barkeep a spar of silver for the mess. You give an apologetic shrug and go to meet the new arrivals down by the docks. So it's a bit of an interactive story in many ways. I love these little details of adding the ships in as we're saying we see them. Let's head down to the docks and find out who our royal guests are. Vognir. A familiar Val steps onto the docks. In your mind, you recall a much younger version tramping the halls of Grofheim, abundant in purpose. God, Zubin, you're looking ancient. Comes with being old, and if there is Vognir, there must be Hakon. Must there? Still bleeding tributes from the poor and the stupid, you old yoks. At what age did you lose a sense of shame? Jonder demands it. I'll take that over lingering to death in Grofheim. Speaking of, I had no sense that you were so far from home. Just returned from Aberang, in fact. And glad for it. Hakon motions to the other ships in the bay, sails still fluttering, golden wolf head emblazoned on the red. The king of men or someone on his behalf. The king's whelp, Hakon says. The king's son, Luden. Don't you know, Scrivener? We visit his capital, he visits ours. It's how we make alliances these days. It's a miserable waste of time. Yes, Hakon has it. I'd almost forgotten. It's a good thing you're around, Hakon. Then you're going to Grofheim? I have the distinct feeling I've finished my business in Strand and was heading there myself. We should caravan. We should. Give it a day. In better circumstances, I'll drink a week away. But, let's be done. Find me tomorrow at the gates. What he's trying to say is the prince is a delight to behold. Where's Mogo? Hakon, have him find a place to put the warriors. I'm heading up to meet the governor. A host of giants depart in his wake. You recognise a few. Others are strangers to you. Guess I'm off to find Mogo. See you in the morning, Scrivener. I'll be along. The young prince of men ambles off his ship. He brushes off his tunic, scanning the beach with low eyelids. Luden looks for all the world like the sort of boy who grew up pulling the legs off spiders. The long road back from Grofheim should be more interesting than most years, you think. Alright, so this next section is really going to be unpacking a bit of the tutorialization of how towns work a little bit. I'm going to continue a bit more and we'll check back in shortly once I've got a bit further into the game. Okay, and we're back. This is showing us a little bit of the caravan style of gameplay that's attached to Banner Saga. Very similar to the Oregon Trail in the sense that we don't have any control over our movement, but as our caravan, represented here, is moving along, it will use various resources, supplies, your morale will go down, our renowns up here, our fighters, Val, the giants, are represented up here, and various random events will occur as we move across the map to new areas, such as this one. The caravan stops for a day. A gift, says Moga, cracking open mead casks. From our gracious friend, the Governor of Strand. Hours pass with raucous laughter as the mead is passed through camp. We can drink a lot, drink a little, or toast to Wagner. Let's get hammered. Drink a lot. It's not often you get the chance to relax on the road. The odds of something happening to the treasury cart is low, especially in this company, so you take advantage. Morale improved. We got a bit hammered. You raise groggily the campsite, a casualty of merriment. Moga is already kicking warriors awake when you spot Luden stalking in your direction. He sidesteps sleeping bodies. Better wake up, you nudge Wagner. You're needed. Ah, it's Luden. Always a pleasure. You look well rested. Wagner releases a caged yawn and receives a hard-eyed stare in return. How long to Grofheim? Ah, we're only 2 days out of Strand, you know. Come, I'll show you on a map. And here we get to see the world map. So the world map's quite large, but it is important to note that we cannot actually move by choice on this. We don't pick where we're going. The caravan moves in kind of a predetermined fashion. But there's a lot of lore we can see by clicking on each of these areas that tell us a little bit about this really cool world that we're inhabiting. So we're looking to move to Strand, I believe, which is somewhere here on the map. So we're going to leave this for the moment and go back to our camp. We head north, then east, past the forts. Grofheim's far from Strand. It's going to be a long march. You should have drank last night, Luden. Why not take ships to Skrimstred? What's the point of marching? The Silverstone Bay is called that for a reason. It stays covered in ice all year. It would tear up the long ships. Too bad, though. We could have shown you all the wonders of Skrimstred. A half-sunken city crawling with dredge, Prince. Dredge and glaciers. You like glaciers? Luden exhales through his nose, a poor disguise for his contempt. He turns and bats aside the tent flaps as he goes, barking at his company in the distance. Don't poke the anthill, Wagner. He seems no happier to be here than you. Spend a few more days with the boy, old friend. You'll be looking for a tall cliff to hop off to. Luden's got a shorter wick than Hakon. Thanks, Wagner. Let's get moving. Another half day or two to Verdenfell if we're lucky. Alright, so this is a camp setup. It's very similar to what we see in towns. So We can rest, we can train, we can view our heroes. In towns, there's usually a merchant or something like that where we can purchase things. And quite often there'll be little conversation points that pop up where we can talk to our individual heroes and progress the storyline. This is our heroes tent. And this is where we can see our kind of roster of different heroes. And as we collect more people throughout the journey, they'll appear here. And we can go to the individuals and promote them and look at their different stats. We can see their special abilities. Each class or character type, Moga's a shield master, has some abilities up here, passive and an active or two actives, whatever it is. For example, this one is that he can break their shield quite strongly. So if we flip through, we can see that Gunolf, our Warhawk, actually has the ability to be promoted. That means he'll go up a level, but we have to spend some of our renown to do that. So when we go, yep, spend the renown, we now get some character points that we can spend on whatever we want. This here, in terms of their skills, we've got our armor, our strength, our willpower, our exertion, and our break. Represents the max that this character can have in each particular area and what his current stat is in that space. So let's drop one into willpower and one into his strength for him. And if I remember right, we also had a level up for a character that we no longer have with us. Let's go back to the main tents, and we're going to pause here for a minute, and I'm going to check back in when we get to another interesting point of the game.
So this game does something really cool where there's two stories being told at once from different characters' perspectives, and they overlap and come together, and they keep alternating throughout the game. This is a dredge. This is kind of the big bad throughout the game. We don't know much about them at this phase, other than that historically there was a big war between the humans and the giants against the dredge, and we haven't seen a lot of them in a while. So now we are having to fight this one that's just appeared. So we have Rook here, who's our main guy. We're going to move him up to this spot, and we're just going to wait and see what he does. And Elite, who's an archer. We haven't actually had any ranged units for a bit, so let's see if we can... Oh, no, I haven't moved far enough. That's a shame. Okay. Alright, so let's go with a Mark Prey here. I think our boy's going to get really quite injured here. We're going to move her up. And then let's shoot him for 2, just to kind of knock his ability to do damage down. Uh-oh. I wasn't expecting that, for him to just come after me. Well, let's go in round behind him, and we're going to whack him for a bit more with our axe. Can I shoot this close? I cannot, so we're going to have to move away a bit. And I think we're going to get a... Nope, no reaction attack. That's good. So drop him down to 2 health. Ding. And I think we should be able to finish him off now with a bit of willpower. And done. Okay. Was that a dredge? Alette looks calm, but you can tell her heart is about to beat right out of her chest. It was. Let me see. Are you hurt? No, I'll be fine. When the dredge attacked your cart, the yokes bolted. It spilled most of its supplies. You can see more dark figures moving through the trees when you glance that direction. All that food. That's the last we're going to get before winter. What do we do? Don't run. Let me think. Let's go... Let's just head back to Skoga. Okay, what were they even doing here? No clue, but we need to warn everyone right now. Supplies represent food and other goods, yep, which we have discussed before. So the supplies are down here. We only have 3 right now,
and we're heading back to Skodia. Our caravan is just us and our daughter at the moment, Rook and Alette. And we're about to re-enter the town. God, the artwork's just beautiful, isn't it? Absolute, like, love the art style.
I never expected to see the dredge with my own eyes. What happened in the north? Already we see more between the trees as we approach our home, and Alette grips my hand tight. We must find Ivor.
Dredge there in the foreground, love that detail. There's another one. And these sequences of the moving across, as the caravan moves from one side to the other, you can see we're going right to left for this caravan, left to right with the other. It never overstays its welcome. The enormous Val in question towers over the men in the training field. He squints as you approach. Ivor, already back, Huntmaster. Thought you'd be tomorrow. Dredge everywhere. Dredge, how did they get through Greyhorn? Must have broken through the fort. The fighters nearby have stopped sparring. They gather around you. Damn it, they'll be here soon if they're not already. You hear screams from the outskirts, people running toward the Great Hall. Ivor turns to one of the older boys in his group of fighters. Egil, take Alette to the Great Hall. Tell the chieftain what's happening. The rest of you gather up as many people as you can. Come on, Alette. No, wait, I want to help. Let's get them to fight. They can be a part. Why not invite some goats to join us too? You're asking for dead kids. I won't let anything happen to her. They'll have to deal with it sooner or later, Ivor. What now? Egil, keep your shield up. We must hold them off till everyone's inside. Then we figure out what to do next. More shouts draw your attention to some houses atop a nearby hill. Alright, so I think we're about ready to recap and share my thoughts about the game. So, honestly, I love this game. I think the combat system's really interesting. It can get a bit... you can get yourself into some difficult points where once you start taking damage, you can't deal damage anymore. So it can become really difficult to claw your way back when you let things start to slide. The storyline's fantastic, and it is really engaging. It's quite in-depth, and just the feel this game evokes is very, very, very entertaining. The one thing I would say about this game is that it does walk an interesting balance between save scumming and, Googling answers to some of the scenario problems versus just giving it a good shot and seeing how you go. I highly recommend trying to do it just on gut instinct with what you feel, but it can put you into situations where those consequences of the choices, if you've been making the wrong ones, put you in a really hard position later in the game. That can feel a bit bad at times, but honestly, both ways to play through are really satisfying and enjoyable. It is worth knowing that the game does keep some of your decisions into the future games. So game 2, game 3, so on, will remember things that you've done in the first game, which is really fantastic. Overall, artwork's fantastic, combat's enjoyable, the storyline's amazing. I couldn't recommend this more. If you haven't played this game before, I highly recommend you give it a shot. Usually I would wishlist it, wait for a sale. It usually drops down to about, $10 here and there. But I would highly recommend, if and when you do purchase this game, to buy it in the bundle where you get them all at once. That's it from me. Thank you for sticking with us. If you could like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff to please the algorithm and our overlords, that allows me to create some more content for you. I'd really love to hear any feedback you have on this method of presentation, and if there's any games you particularly want to cover, put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great day. Peace out.